Welcome back to another episode of Opinionated Off-Topic. Today we got a very, very dope special guest, Jon Kilmer. I'll let him introduce himself. Sorry about that. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, how are you?
And gotta get into it. John, you're on the air. You know?
It's awesome, man. No, it's dope to be here in person. Like we were just talking before we started recording. I usually do these over Zoom, so it's dope to be able to connect with y'all and be here in person while I'm in Austin. And thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you for driving out, especially just planning it during the day and stuff. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, so it's really appreciated that you came out.
Is it fun to be on the other side of it?
To be on the other side of it, where I don't have to worry about the recording and shit. Yeah. Secretly, I'm like worried about it still. I'm like, man, is camera cool? Is everything working all right? Yeah, I wasn't used to like being in 4K because I'm always doing it over Zoom. So I'm like, fuck it, make sure the curls are right and everything.
Yeah. Well, luckily we don't shoot in 4K, so don't have to worry about that.
We're going 1080. All right,
cool. 4K,
then I'm not worried about it.
It's too much. The
rendering,
the uploading.
Everyone looks like shit in 4K. I don't even know why they invented 4K.
Yeah.
But
tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up, all that good stuff.
Oh geez, all right. I guess I'll start on my birth. I guess born in Boston. I've been a Boston guy for life. My parents still live there. I went to school in New York and Long Island. Got a film degree. Always been interested in music and film, and I'm one of those annoying guys that just like knew what they wanted to do at a young age, which I know it's not the case for most people, so I'm really grateful for that. But since I was like 13, 14 years old, I always loved videos and I always loved music. I picked up guitar when I was like 14 years old, picked up my first camera when I was like 13, 14, fell in love with both things. When I was like 16, I was going to fucking film camp, which is a thing. Believe it or not, it's the thing. I went to sleepaway film camp, and music was a little more self-taught for me. I taught myself music production and audio engineering and pretty much like a lot of instruments like guitar and bass and drums and shit like that. So I always knew I wanted to do that. Never knew what I wanted to do with either, but I just knew I loved creating and I love both. So
did you just pick up a camera one day or like...
Dude, a lot of it just starts with being a kid and just like fucking around and like falling in love with it, you know? Like I picked up a camera and like cameras weren't that readily. I mean, I'm old. I'm in my 30s, so like back in like the early 2000s, you know, cameras weren't like that readily available. Like like the cameras back then were like far shittier than the camera like on your iPhone now. You know what I mean?
In the 2000s, did they still have the?
They were called mini DV tapes,
and they came out on the side with it. Well, you put the whatever it's called, can't remember what it's called. The film inside the camera.
Kind of. It was
brown
like
film.
It was almost like a little cassette. It was almost like a little cassette tape, and it was called mini DV. Those were the ones that I used back then. And like, yeah, you pop it in, and it's like an hour or whatever. And I still have at my house, my childhood house. I still have like 60 of them from like, you know, when I was in 8th grade and 9th grade. And
have you ever thought shooting a video with those?
Have I what?
Have you ever thought about shooting something with those now?
Now, yeah, maybe. I don't have the camera anymore. I wish I did. But, man, yeah, it started with just like, you know, Jackass was big back then. So I'm like, and they tell you in the beginning of the Jackass show, don't do it. Yeah. And, of course, when you're a kid, you're like,
do it at home.
Let's go make Jackass videos.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So it started with like that. Just like having a camera when I was that young and just like fucking around with my friends, lighting shit on fire, you know, jumping off of roofs and like, you know, doing dumb shit. And then that turned into, you know, like going to stuff like film camp and like actually learning the trade and like learning the craft. And then it made me want to go to school and actually like major in it. So that was kind of like my trajectory. And yeah, I always was doing music on the side. And then a few things happened to me in college where like music started to like really take over. I got a few lucky breaks. When I was a junior, I was in a fraternity. And I was just kind of partying a lot. I wasn't really like taking school that seriously. I was taking film seriously, but I wasn't really taking school that seriously. But when I was a junior, a rapper named Chris Webby joined my fraternity, moved into my fraternity house. I was in the basement, and I built out like this home. This was like a while ago, so it wasn't that common to have like a recording studio in your house. Like it wasn't that common, you know. I was just kind of doing it because I loved it, and I was making my own music at the time, just like as a joke, like for like funny music and stuff like that. I was kind of doing like Lonely Island, like parody type music, just for fun, just fucking around, just like having fun producing and recording and stuff. So then Chris Webby moves upstairs and he's like, I'm a rapper from Connecticut. And I'm like, what do you mean you're a rapper? You're white. Like, there were no white rappers back then. It was like Asher Roth, like I don't even know if he was a thing yet. And then Eminem, like that was it. So I'm like, what do you mean you're a rapper? And yeah, dude, he was like kind of popping, and he was. This is going to be a dated sentence, but he was like kind of popping on MySpace.
Yeah,
you know, like YouTube wasn't that big yet, and like MySpace, he was like kind of popping off and had like a lot of traction on MySpace. So he and I like really hit it off, and I recorded him for a couple of years, and like he got bigger and bigger as the years went on. So he was like the first person where it's like, you know, I became the guy that like produced for Webby, you know what I mean? And then like that led to another guy, and that led to another guy, and like, you know, eventually led to me meeting Mike, and then I started working with Mike. So with music, I got a lot of lucky breaks. And then the fact that I could also do videography, you know, on top of that, then it's like, oh shit, if you're an up and coming musician, this guy can like record my vocals, he can produce my tracks, he can shoot my music videos, you know.
Yeah, you can do it all.
Yeah, I had the passion tree to go up there and be a hype man. If you needed me to be a fucking hype man, I did it. I was a hype man for a kid who did show in Boston, and he opened for Mac Miller one day in Boston, and like I was there being his fucking hype man before Mac came on the stage, you know. And this was like, you know, when the album Kids came out, it was so old. It was such a long time ago. So I've been around the block, man. You know, I came up in like this whole music scene, and you know, you can call it like frat rap or whatever you want to call it. That's what I came up in, you know, and yeah, here we are, man. I'm working with Mike now, you know, full time for the most part, you know, alongside a few other artists, and now I'm kind of like one of his lead creatives, videographers. You know, we do a bunch of stuff together. So there you go. There's the intro.
Oh yeah.
You're in like the perfect state to do it though, being in New York, because you have so many different artists, period, that are there.
Yeah. So I was in New York for like 9 years, because I went there for school, and then I lived in New York City for 5 years. And then after that, I moved to LA with Mike and the guys. That's when we all started to live together and work together. And that was like another 5 years. And then we said, fuck LA, because it was just like during the pandemic, LA sucked. It was like literally.
You couldn't do anything.
Dude, the worst city. It was the worst city for so many reasons. I'm not going to sit here and bash LA, but like it was pretty bad. So we got out of there, and then we've just been moving around the past year and a half. You know, like we've lived in.
Nomadically.
We've lived in seven cities in the last year and a half. And we couldn't tour for 3 years because of the pandemic. So like it was just a great time to kind of move around, get out of our comfort zone. And because of it, you know, like we all started just getting better at our jobs, and, you know, a lot of the businesses started to take off more and more. And I think we attribute it, to like moving around so much and just kind of getting out of our comfort zone. I also attribute it to us growing mullets, but that's just me.
It's kind of coming back.
No, it is in.
I think
there's
the second Mike grew a mullet and I grew a mullet, like our careers have never taken off faster. So I don't know.
There's some Texas football players that like rocking mullets.
Well, even that too, like the boys at the channel I watch.
Yeah, boys, they all rock mullets too.
Dude, the mullets are coming back. They're making a strong comeback, and you know, I got the unfair advantage of like the curly headed mullet, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm just going for it. But
it looks good when you have a hat on with the flow coming out on the back.
Yeah. I've never been able to wear hats. Maybe I can start. But so yeah, we've been traveling for a year and a half, and then now, dude, you know, I'm thinking about settling in Nashville.
Okay.
Mike is very indecisive, so like he was all about Nashville for like years, and now he's like, oh, I don't know where I want to live. I'm like.
Because I know y'all are in AZ a lot. Y'all are in Scottsdale area all the time too.
Yeah,
so.
I'm kind of leaning towards Nashville. I'm going to be looking for houses next month. It's weird because like I'm finally getting my own place, and it's like, you know, the frat house is finally disbanding. Yeah. After like 5-6 years, so it's going to be weird. But I like the idea of Nashville because one, it's like a music hub, and it's exciting and it's fun, and it's near my family in Boston, because like before, you know, LA to Boston, it's like a whole. Yeah. It's a whole thing to travel there. So I'm excited to kind of be a little closer to the family.
I would never guess you're from Boston or like spend all that time in New York. You just don't give off that strong like accent.
Dude, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Because like I had the Boston accent before, and I only lived there since I was 18, and then I went to school in New York, and then I was in New York for 9 years. But Long Island is like similar to Boston. It's like abrasive, just like these abrasive Italian people. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
But I like, once I got into recording and stuff like that, I was like, you know, you listen to your voice enough where you're like, oh, I can't sound like that. Yeah. So I've kind of neutralized my speech a little bit.
Y'all stayed in one of my idols' houses too for a while.
I stayed in one of your idols' houses.
Marcus Stroman.
Oh, Stroman.
Yeah.
Big Stro guy?
Big
Stro show guy?
guy,
He put me
yeah.
on too.
Dude, I've known Marcus as long as I've known Mike.
Yeah, well, because they went to school together.
Well, I didn't know him that long, but like Marcus was at, I mean, I filmed like pretty much every Mike show ever. Mm-hmm. There was like a few in like the early years that like I missed, but not many, but like a couple. But like the first show I ever filmed for Mike, like I saw the footage. I believe it was at Toad's place in Connecticut. I think it was there. And Marcus was, I have the footage, and Marcus is there on stage like a hype man, fucking like throwing his shirt around and stuff. And like I look back at the footage, I'm like, holy shit, Marcus was there. So I've known Marcus for like a decade. It's
That's
crazy.
dope.
Yeah, man. Like, he's like, you know, he's just like a very close friend, and fucking such a nice guy, man.
I played baseball and I'm short, and he plays baseball and he's not very tall. So
Yeah.
And then just his swagger and everything. His sophomore year in the MLB is like when I found him. Really when he got hurt and he came back after his injury.
It's crazy to think he's been in the league for what, like 7 years, 8 years,
something like that. Yeah, 2014 is when he got drafted.
Yeah, that's wild to me. You know that it's been 7-8 years, and just the shape he's in now.
Yeah,
and like I know I'm biased because like I've seen it firsthand. Like I've seen him train. Like
his work ethic is
crazy.
We were in Malibu a couple months ago, and he was out there training at Pepperdine University, and like I got to actually go and like watch him and film him work out and like see what he does. Guy's a fucking guy's the most athletic pitcher.
He's a freak.
Dude, he's doing like handstands and shit. Like he can like just literally just balance in a handstand and like do like these leg pumps while he's in his hands and stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. The fuck? Like there ain't no pitchers in the MLB doing that.
That's crazy.
He's doing all these workouts that like you just don't see pitchers doing. You know, he's hands down the most athletic. Like he could pitch till he's 42 if he wanted to. You know, he could pitch.
I hope so. I love watching him pitch.
I don't know if he wants to. Like I don't think he wants to, but he could. His body could allow him to pitch for like another 10 years if he wanted to.
I think he's gonna do good in Chicago.
He's gonna do amazing.
Yeah, I think he's gonna do good in Chicago.
And we have our show in Chicago is an off day, and he's gonna actually be at the show.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, so he'll be able to perform with Mike for a couple of songs and stuff.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how you said you lived in all these 7 cities in a year? Like how is it like, I guess, being like a nomad?
Yeah, nomadically.
It's a love-hate, man. It's a love-hate. It's like it's necessary, but it's uncomfortable, man. It is, it's we were just talking on a recent episode of our podcast about the book Atomic Habits by James Cleary, and it's hard to adapt healthy habits when you're constantly moving, because you have to like constantly like adapt, and like when you think about healthy habits, you think about, like exercise, eating healthy and all this. And it's like everywhere you go, it's like, all right, well, I got to find a new gym. I got to find a new running route. I got to find where the supermarkets are to get the healthy food. And like, you just got to like just redo everything every single fucking month and a half. So to that extent, it's very uncomfortable, but it was so helpful for us, because you never get too comfortable. You never like fall into a bad routine because you're constantly like reinventing yourself in a way, and it's kept us on our toes. And it's in some places, like when we were in Montana, we stayed in like this ranch outside of Missoula, Montana for like a month and a half about a year ago, and we weren't around anything. Like the closest town was 20 minutes away, and it was a population of 800 people. And we were on this 100-acre ranch, and there's just like nothing to do other than just like buckle down, catch like a peaceful vibe, and then work. That was it. Yeah. And like when you put yourself in those situations, like you get a lot of shit done, like I'd sit down, I'd wake up, I'd like, go for a little walk, see some deer running around, see some elk, come back to the house and just fucking work all day because there's nothing else to do. Mm-hmm. And we got a lot of fucking shit done. And, each place we've been to, some have been more distracting than others for sure. Like when we were in Nashville, I don't know if we got any work done, but yeah, dude, it's just like moving around is good. And like, it gets you out of your comfort zone. And, you hear these stories of people who are afraid to leave their hometown, cause it's like, it's all they know. And it's the unknown of going somewhere else. not knowing anybody or not having job security or whatever. Like it's scary, you know, to not know where you're going to go next. And all I can say is like myself and any other story I've heard of someone who like made the leap to just like get out there and try something new, it's always been a successful outcome.
Yeah, that's dope. I bet it was peaceful out there in Montana too.
You have no idea, bro.
It looked fun too.
Beautiful.
Just like with
man.
all the snow and like, because honestly, that's when I showed him Mike's like first like song that, because I found y'all specifically through the podcast that we've been doing this, and that was kind of like during the pandemic and stuff. That was kind of I gravitated towards you guys, and then I was like, oh, their podcast is phenomenal. And then Ball Don't Lie with Johnny, and I started watching that, and then I was like, oh, Mike, because my friends had told me about Mike Stud. And I was like, yeah, Mike Stud. And I was like, oh. And then like I just tied the two together. And I was like, oh, that's Mike too. So it was crazy to see it like come full circle. And then watching the documentary, like seeing how we all traveled nomadically. I guess like what was your favorite spot when you were traveling?
That's tough. We talk about this all the time. Like Mike asks me all the time. He's like, what was your favorite spot? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Because each spot has like its own thing, you know? Like, and he's the same way. He's like, I don't know. But like Montana was like, I loved Montana because like it can't be replicated, you know, like there's nothing like it. Like that house and that land, it was like nothing I'd ever seen in my life. It was 100 acres, and on the land, like it had its own like saloon and like bar on the property.
Wow, that's cool.
Like just for that property,
that's
and it had like horses. It was a ranch. Like you could like just go fuck off and see horses and donkeys and like. And on the flip side, there's like fucking mountain lions and like cougars and shit that can kill you. So that's scary too. we were going on a hike around the premises, and I looked down and I just saw a fucking deer hoof.
Damn.
Just the hoof, detached from the entire deer.
Yeah.
Like all they left was
That boy
the
got
hoof.
worked.
The deer, it's called a hoof. Deers have hoofs. I don't know, but whatever it was like the bottom of a fucking deer leg. And I'm looking around. I'm like, man, like there's some fucking wolves or something around. Like you'd hear the wolves at night howling. So like it's on the flip side, if you stand out there, you could get yourself fucking killed.
Yeah.
But beautiful, and like it can't be replicated. And like everywhere we've been has been nothing like that Montana place. But you know, on the other side of things, when we were in Nashville, we stayed right on Broadway. Like Broadway's like the main bar, like where all the bars are. In that mile radius, they got to be like 200-300 bars. You know.
Yeah, it's
a lot.
nuts. Like I've seen the street. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Bro.
So it's they compare it to Austin. I thought Austin's a little bit better.
It's
like 6th Street dirty. We were talking about.
So like when we were here 6-7 months ago, I feel like there was still like pandemic vibes going on down here. It was around like 4th of July, and now the last time I went down here this time around, like, dude, there was like fucking fire trucks going by, ambulances, like people getting loaded into ambulances, EMTs and stuff. I'm like, man, Austin's fucking turning up. You know, like it gave me the Nashville vibe this time around. But last summer, Nashville was one of the first places to lift the mask mandates. So like they were just going fucking nuts. Like all last summer, like they were just going fucking crazy. Like everyone was traveling there because like it was the only place to just go party. So we were living right in the thick of it. So like on the opposite of that peaceful vibe in Montana, we then go here and it's like we're just thrown into like, you know, first time a city can party in like 2 years, and like it was like a whole different kind of energy. Like,
were y'all there when they closed like at 11 though? Like it was open, but it was open only until like 11.
That's a good question. I don't think so. I think it was later.
It was later, yeah, because I went and it was when the mask mandate just lifted and we got down there.
Yeah.
But like right when we got down there, everything started closing, so we're only down there for like 30 minutes. We're like, the hell?
Yeah, no, I think it might have been a little bit after that. And no, we were definitely out past 11 for sure. But dude, it was like from Thursday morning to like Sunday night, the whole city was just getting fucking shit faced.
Yeah.
There was like 20 bachelorette parties bopping around on those little fucking like
Yeah.
moving bars that you
Yep. They just go in the middle of the street.
They're just riding.
Yeah.
and if you just like look at them and go, hey, they go, woo.
Yeah.
So like I'd wake up and like my window would be open in my bathroom and I'd hear the woos from Thursday morning to Sunday night. You just wake up to the woo, and it's like fucking 9:30 a.m. Just people getting fucking hammered all day. So like it's hard to focus in that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it was a lot of fun.
Because you just hear it and you're like, damn, now I want to go get hammered.
I
They
think get out
sound
there and
having
get
fun.
hammered. Yeah.
You think
So,
like,
like-
get like a good detox, like going from Montana to that, like, or not detox, but like a change of pace. I
Yeah,
guess.
dude, it's all about balance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could never live in downtown Nashville. you know?
Yeah.
Like I want to move there, but I want to move, like 10,
Outside,
10
yeah.
minutes outside, so I
Yeah.
can get that if I want it, or I can just catch a peaceful vibe, So it's all about the balance for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
I guess with all that going on and stuff, then I guess like from a timeline standpoint, The Highs came out. So I guess talk to me more of how that wave was for you. I know Mike talks about it, but for you, like orchestrating a lot of it and helping him out with a lot of it, shooting all the videos. I know you make a ton of lyric videos, TikToks, all that stuff. So how's that been? How's that wave been? Very successful project. I love it. Listen to it all the time. So I'm curious, like from your end, how busy did that make you? And then also, were you proud of everything that you did with it visually and all that stuff?
No, I mean, for the listeners of this podcast, Mike is one of the biggest independent artists in the U.S. Like I would say he's easily like a top 5 biggest independent artist. A lot of artists are signed, and when you're signed to a major label, you get those like amenities where like they can take care of a lot of shit for you because they're taking such a large cut of your profits. In this case, like our success starts and ends with us, and like we're a very small, tight knit group. And I handle all the media, and like as you've seen, like we put out a lot of fucking media,
Yeah.
whether it be, and when The Highs came out, we really stepped it up. We started taking advantage of TikTok because it's like just
Got to.
yeah, the way like the algorithm works is just like the best way to get your shit out there, So we kind of like stopped doing music. We still do music videos, but like we just kind of changed our approach on them, where like. It almost was counterintuitive to make and put all this time into one music video that you put on YouTube, and then like you'd get all your fans to be like, "Hey, go check out my music video on YouTube."
Yeah.
You're like, it's almost counterintuitive. You're promoting the thing that's supposed to promote your music, which like didn't make sense. Where back in the day, like YouTube was the outlet. You put a video up, and that was the outlet to people like discover you and find out about you.
Yeah.
Now it's TikTok. So like TikTok, it's vertical first of all, so that's been throwing me off. It's like. Now it's like you're shooting with like the intent of making something vertical, which is like for a videographer, it's very strange. But
Yeah,
I'm trying to adapt, and you're like, it's almost like more engaging to like not have like these like hyper edited clips. You know what I mean? So like if you look at Mike's TikTok, it's just like these like little like 30-minute segments of like a take. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not really edited. It's just kind of like a little like. Just like this little like micro piece of music video that's not really edited. It's just like a little take of
like normal stuff, like walking around.
Yeah,
like,
walking around just like delivering the lyrics or like hanging out with people or whatever. And it's like you now have to do like we put out 3 or 4 TikToks a day. We have a whole team that just focuses on posting on TikTok 3 or 4 times a day. So like Mike has 23 songs on the new album. We shot like. Probably like 5 or 6 TikToks for every single one of them. And like, we just kind of like throw them out there, and TikTok's great. It's the best way to get discovered for the lowest cost, as a musician. I recommend it to anyone. And then on top of that, which is like a lot of content already, Mike had the bright idea of like, hey, let's make a documentary to go out with the album. So we made a documentary that's 42 minutes long called Life Got Crazy. We released it to, our Only Steves on the membership platform early, and it just came out publicly a couple days ago. And that was, I've never really edited something to that magnitude before. Because it wasn't just about our last year and a half. It's kind of like tells the story of like kind of who we are. And I was digging footage of like, from shit like 11 years ago, and I'm not the most organized guy with my footage. So like, I have like 20 hard drives I'm digging from. I'm like, fuck, where's that one clip from fucking 11 years ago? And like putting that together was a lot of fucking work, and I'm super proud of that. Have you seen it?
Yeah. I've watched it like 3 times because I watched it before it was released to the general public. And then now it's for the general public. I've like had it on. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've had it on a lot. I love it.
Right on, man. I watched that and I like fucking start tearing up. I'm like, oh fuck, it like puts the whole last 10 years in perspective, and you're
Brings
like,
back a lot of memories too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, we talk about it all the time, and like that's why I love my job, is because, I had the gift of being able to work with my friends the last 10 years. Travel the country, like have good times, meet a lot of people, and my job was to capture it all. And if I didn't capture it all, I don't know if we'd remember any of it. You know what I mean? Because we we partied a lot, and we weren't as present as we'd like to be. We're working on that now, but back then, I mean, we weren't present at all. We were just kind of living in the moment and having a good time, and the fact that I filmed it all, I mean, it's such a gift to be able to look back and be like, man, that's dope. We got to do all that, so that's my favorite part of all of it. And then on top of the documentary and the TikTok stuff, we have this podcast we've been doing for 2 years, the YNK podcast. So you put all this fucking content together. It's like, man, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. And it's not just me, we have a team of, we have a bunch of interns that work with us that are great. We have some employees for the YNK podcast. We have a guy that runs Mike's TikTok. So it's a team. It's a big team that runs all this content, but it's so necessary when you're independent and you don't have like this endless, budget to go towards marketing your music. We just flood everyone with really good content, and that's been the best way to market Mike as an independent artist.
Yeah. So since he's independent, what is like one of the biggest things that I guess hurts y'all in a way from that y'all can't have that a big record label would have?
There's
access to stuff.
Honestly, there's not a lot of downsides. The reason why people signed to major labels is because they have a lot of artists have no leverage in the beginning because they're relatively even if they're talented, they're relatively unknown, and there's so much competition today. There's a stat that I talk about where I think it's 500,000 songs get uploaded every week on Spotify or something like that.
That's insane.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah,
so if you're coming up as an artist and you're not that well known yet, even if you're talented, it's the record label's job is to discover people before they're well known, so they have leverage to be here's a couple $100,000, sign with us and we'll give you the amenities you need. Whereas Mike, it's he kind of powered through it and he caught a big wave of success, relatively speaking, a pretty big wave of success early on, where it's okay, we can do this ourselves. And now at the level we're at, it's there's no downside to being independent. It's all he keeps the majority of his of everything. And there's the only downsides is there's stuff where all of us wear many hats. There's probably 4 or 5 of us that work, the main people that work for him, and we all wear many hats. And there's some stuff that I'm why the fuck am I doing this? There's legal stuff I'm doing. I'm I shouldn't be doing this right now.
Yeah.
Because when you a lot of people don't realize when you work on a song and there's 3 or 4 people producers and writers and stuff that are attached to the record, every one of those people need to have individual contracts, and you have to negotiate who gets how many royalty points and publishing points, and what the fees will be, and everyone has to sign. And I'm right now I'm helping Mike with that stuff, and I'm dude, I don't know anything about any of this. And it's just tedious and it's hard, and there should be a law, there should be a lawyer division doing this stuff, which if you're signed to Sony, Sony has a whole law division, they just do that for you, so it's and that type of stuff, we're kind of just winging it, we're doing it, but we're winging it.
Have y'all thought about getting a lawyer?
What's that?
Have y'all thought about
getting
a lawyer?
No, he has a lawyer.
Oh, he has a lawyer?
It's the lawyers help, but they bill you by the second.
Yeah.
And when you're independent, it's if they're in charge of it solely, it's going to stack up.
Yeah.
Versus you got a homie to kind of help you out, which is what I'm doing. So that type of stuff, I'm I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be doing this because I have no experience. I'm just kind of winging it. And then when you plan a tour, tour production's fucking hard, man, especially at the level we're at. It's not Madison Square Garden, but the venues are getting a lot bigger, and there's a lot of moving parts. Thankfully I'm not involved with a lot of that, thank God. I'm just involved with the media aspect, which is also stepping up and it's getting more intricate and stuff like that. But producing a tour, man, it's Mike's putting all the money up himself. There's no label to be we'll pay for your tour. Mike's paying for the tour bus, he's paying for the employees, there's a lot of upfront costs to go on tour. And it's honestly not as profitable as people think, because there's a lot of shit that goes on. So, a lot of these logistical things that we do ourselves, it is a pain in the ass. It'd be nice if someone else did it to us, did it for us. But at the same time, these label deals, they're taking 80%, 90% of an artist's income. So it's is it really worth it? So
because I was watching. Reason I brought that up, I was watching the Kanye documentary, and in the documentary, when he first got signed to Jay-Z, he they wouldn't give him like booth time, like they wouldn't pay for his booth time, and then they wouldn't. What was the other thing they didn't do? They didn't pay for something else, but I didn't know like how much that like affects y'all versus like that's their money and they're doing that for you.
Yeah, I mean dude, all I can say is being independent is like the way to do it right now.
Yeah,
and the industry's changing massively, and like we started this monthly subscription platform. Yeah. Which a lot of musicians aren't doing yet, which I think is really weird. And I get there's a negative stigma with like OnlyFans and stuff like that. And like, artists might think it's corny to have some like monthly membership thing because it's reminiscent of like girls, showing their titties and charging money every month. But dude, it's been life-changing for us, especially as an independent artist. We have full control over all our creative materials. And it's not for everyone. It's not for the masses. It's for like the top 10% fans, which every artist has, their top 10% of fans that will, that will do something for like a better experience. They'll pay for a closer experience to you, whether it's more music or like vlogs or whatever, just like a better experience, a closer experience with that person. And Kanye was a great example of that. It was fucking bizarre, but he released this like music player that's $200. I forget what it's called. Where his new album's on like the music player, and it's like $200. And like the first day or two, he sold $2.2 million worth of it.
What the hell?
Yeah. I don't remember what it's called.
I know what you're talking about. It was because it's Donda 2's on there.
Yeah.
It's for Donda 2?
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
And it's like a physical music device, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's $200. So people were like going not like bitching about it. They're like, I'm not paying $200 for fucking Kanye's new album. But guess what? Some people will pay $200 for Kanye's new album.
Exactly.
$2.2 million worth of people paid for it, And there's no label that's taking cut. Like he's just like, fuck it, fuck the masses. I'm just gonna I'm gonna go towards my top 1% or 5% of fans that really fuck with me, and I'll put something out there that they can have that's like special.
Yeah. Each artist has like their own cult following, like fan base.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So like they're gonna support you no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And even in Kanye's shoes, like even people that aren't cult fan bases, like cult fans of him, they're still gonna get it because it's Kanye.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
yeah, and he's one of the biggest celebrities in the world.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. It's like you said, it's a memorabilia type deal. It's like
it was only 11,000 units for Kanye. 11,000 units is nothing. It's
nothing.
Fucking just nothing. It's nothing. But he made a couple $1 million in a couple of days.
He's a genius.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like when now that we're looking at this like subscription model thing where it's like we charge $5 a month or whatever. For Mike, and like he puts out 2 songs a month that like aren't public, and he puts out all these like studio vlogs and stuff like that, and we give away money to our fans every month, and we have all these cool experiences where we like fly people out to our house and fly them out to a show, and like we can do all this like special. It's a win-win, you know what I mean? Like the real fans, like we're giving them a really cool experience for like not a lot of money, and it's very beneficial for us, financially.
Do you see a problem with the subscription service? Because I don't. Because I mean, it's been a thing for a long time. It's like just
Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon and Twitch have been like around for a long time.
Yeah, I can't speak on Twitch, but I can speak on Patreon. The company we use is called Filmmaker, and they reached out to us a year and a half ago. They're like relatively brand new a year and a half ago. And they were just launching their monthly subscription model, and we're pretty much like their guinea pigs, like their first people to do it. Now we're involved in the company, and like we have equity in the company, and we're a part of them. But their big thing is they take 5%. That's it, 5%. Yeah. Where Patreon takes like 12%, OnlyFans takes like 20%, and like YouTube has one that takes 30%. I think Instagram's like beta testing one right now, and they take like 60%.
Yeah, that's insane.
For Twitch, it depends who you are.
Really?
So the bigger, do you follow any gamers or know any gaming names?
Not really, no.
So like there's a guy named Nick Merckx. He gets, so it's $5 to subscribe.
Yeah.
And for him, he gets $3.99 for everybody that subscribes. So he gets $3.99.
$4 out of 5?
Yeah, $4 out of 5.
Yeah, see, even that.
But see, if somebody subscribed to me,
yeah,
I get $2.50. Twitch gets $2.50.
Wow. But even $4, he's losing 20%.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's like the standard. Whereas like this Filmmaker company, like, dude, 5% plus transaction fees, which is another like 2-3%. So like you're well under 10%. You're keeping like the majority of it.
Yeah.
So that's, dude, it's been great working with that company, and like they're awesome, and like they're developing more and more and making like their app or their website better and better and better. So we've built with them, and it's been grassroots, and it's been really great. And again, like, you know, if I don't know, like say Mike has a couple 100,000 fans, like we're only really going, like right now we only have like 10,000 people that we're really like catering to.
Yeah.
Yet we're only catering to 10,000 people, yet it's our fastest growing business and one of the most profitable businesses we have for 10,000 people versus going after the masses of like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. So I don't know. I think people are going to like start seeing that being famous isn't all it's cracked up to be. Signing with a music label is not all it's cracked up to be. And if you just grow like a grassroots fan base, you don't really need that many people to become very profitable and very successful.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about making an NFT?
NFT, yeah, dude, we think about it. We've been, it's so funny, dude. Like I'm honestly sick of hearing about it in our house because like we've been talking about it for over a year. It's been like 14 months of us. And you know, Mike always sends me these articles like, "Oh, look who just made millions of dollars selling an NFT." Like I don't know. I'm not against NFTs. Like I know like Gary Vee and everyone preaches about NFTs. Like it's the future. With music, the only company I've seen that like I really fuck with is called Royal. Have you seen that? Mm-mm. So Royal has a bunch of big artists behind it, but essentially, you can like sell equity of your music. You can sell like the royalty equity of your music in the sense where, say you sell like, say Mike puts out a song and he's like, I'm selling 50% equity of this song in the form of NFTs or whatever. And like however much you buy, you then get like the royalty payouts every quarter or like whatever it is, like every quarter or whatever. So like say you own 1% of Mike's song, however much that cost, like you're now getting 1% return of that song. You know, so like you're almost like an investor of like a song, which is like really cool.
That's dope.
Yeah. And like in that sense, it's great. Like if you need money up front, you can like just sell like these NFTs where you sell like ownership of your music, where you no longer need a record label, because like that's what they do. Record labels, like they give you money. You can decide. You can be like, I want to sell 10% of this song. I want to sell 50% of this song, and then like those royalty payouts will go to those people who buy it. So you get like a immediate. You own a piece of that asset, which is worth money, and you're getting a return off of it every quarter or whatever it is.
That's dope.
So it's really dope. Like anyone can be like a quote unquote like executive producer of a song, which is really sweet.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Are they a newer company?
Yeah, they're like just launching now. I mean, they've been building it for like probably the last year or more. But like if you look into it, a lot of huge artists are like really like into it and part of it and stuff like that. And like it's great for Mike. But again, like, dude, the subscription model is like really working for us. So it's like, it comes down to like, I don't know if both can exist. And if they can, I don't know, it'd be tough. Like Gary Vee did a really cool thing where he sold his book, and like each of his books, I think like he said like 12 of the books were equal to one NFT or something like that. So he had people buying like boatloads of books, you know, and like in 12 counts. And his book sold like over 1 million copies because like you had to buy 12 books to get one NFT.
That's crazy.
So like that's kind of a cool concept, right? Like, and you could do it with albums, maybe. It's hard to do it with albums because like albums aren't tangible anymore.
Yeah, not many people buy like hard physical copies anymore.
Really, like when y'all made that vinyl, it's like those are like coming back, but it's like people like love vinyls for like a collectible piece.
Yeah.
But if like you said, if they don't like the artist like that, then they're just like, oh, I'll just stream it. I have it. Like,
yeah.
You know, like,
so you can get creative with NFTs, and I think it can exist in our but it's just hard. You know, it's like a lot of people are doing it as like a get rich quick thing, and like any celebrity that has any clout is just like putting one out to get a quick payout. And like, I don't know, we don't really want to be that. You know, if we do it, we want it to be beneficial for both parties, not just kind of like this one-off thing to just get a bunch of money real quick. So if we can find a way, you know, to do it, we're going to do it.
Because like what y'all do now with the subscription website is kind of what y'all could do with NFTs, because that's what like Gary Vee does. That's what
exactly, because it's called like having utility within the NFT. You know what I mean? And we're all about utility. And with the subscription model, we're already doing that. You know, like we're giving utility by giving you early music and giving you the videos that the public don't have, and giving early releases to stuff, and you know, being able to fly out and come hang out with it. Like there's all this utility involved with it. So it's like if we did an NFT, it's like how would we make that different? Yeah, you know. So
I guess it's tough. Like one of the things that an NFT place, I guess organization does, called Gutter Dogs and Gutter Cats. Mm-hmm. each person that owns one, every year, once a year, they'll like it changes from like Miami to Vegas, LA. They pay for your all inclusive trip to go and go party. So that's like a cool thing that I thought, like, because Gary Vee was one of the first ones to do it. Then like people started putting different twists on it, and theirs was like one of the first cool dope ones. I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's but their NFTs are expensive.
Yeah, NFTs are expensive. Where ours, it's $5 a month. So it's like,
and it's kind of the same thing.
And granted, you don't own any like. It's not an asset. An NFT, you own it. It's an asset. It's worth something. You know what I mean? It can go up, it can go down. You can sell it. This $5 you just spend for the experience. So it's a little different in that sense. But it's $5. You know what I mean? It's like
we spend $5 on dumb stuff all the time.
Exactly. A coffee at Starbucks.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. With all the business acquisitions and things like that, I know you say you like work with other artists and things like that, and we talked outside about stuff you have going on. What kind of business endeavors do you have? Moving forward, like for yourself, like you have any ideas? I don't know if you want to say it, but it's up to you. But is anything you like working on or you want to do like coming up soon or anything?
Like so that? My life, I always try to have balance. It's always like the Mike side of things, and then it's like the Jon Kilmer side of things. Like I always need that balance because I'm just a creative person, and like Gary Vee, like I like to just throw the pan against the wall on creative stuff and just see
what happens.
What sticks exactly. And like I used to be self-conscious of that because I just thought I had like creative ADD. But Gary Vee like came out with this post where like someone asked him the same thing because he's always doing fucking 12 things at once. You know what I mean? Some of them don't result in anything. Some of them do. But he's like, I have to throw pan against the wall because then I'll never find out like what works and what doesn't if I don't try. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
like I feel like I'm the same way in the sense that, and that made me feel better about myself because I'm like, I'm always fucking doing that. So right now I have like, let me think how many side projects, like 2 or 3 different things I got going on right now for myself personally. I've always been into filmmaking. Like if I like see myself 5-10 years down the road, like I see myself being a writer, director of films, because that's what I want to do since I was a kid. And I don't want to get, I never went into this thinking I was going to be a music video director my whole life. And like music videos like aren't even really like that big anymore.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? And like I never really enjoyed it to the extent where like I want to be a music video director my whole life. I love writing stories and coming up with stories and creating characters and stuff like that. So I made my first film in 2018 called The Primrose, which I crowdfunded myself. I raised like 20 grand from friends and family, and then another like I put in 10 grand of my own money, and I shot a feature film for 30 grand, which is not a lot of money. And that was like an incredible learning experience of like doing it all myself. And like, I had some friends that like were super helpful in the production of it, which I couldn't have done it without them, but I filled a lot of hats myself. When you talk about like a feature film, like I wrote it, I directed it, I co-produced it. I hired all the actors. I did most of the editing. I did the sound design. I did the music scoring. I did a lot of shit for it. So that like, after I did that, I'm like, this is sick. Like I can do, if I had more money, I can make a fucking awesome movie. So I'm in the process right now of my partner and I just finished our second feature film script, and we're kind of shopping it around to production companies, and hopefully it gets picked up. If not, we're just going to shoot it independently again, probably a year from now.
Did you try to talk to anybody at South by Southwest? Because I know they before the music starts, they do like a TV show / movie kind of week.
Oh, yeah, believe me, I know.
Yeah,
you know what's crazy about that, dude, is like, so independent filmmaking, like it's tough. Like it's not. It is a thing, but it's like no one's really like making it as like an independent filmmaker.
Yeah.
Like not like no studios, like none of that. Like no one's really doing it. Some people are, but it's like pretty rare.
Yeah.
Because movies are so fucking expensive to make, and they're so hard to sell. So like I'm kind of like trying to find ways where I can kind of work because we have this like awesome fan base. You know what I mean? Like at our disposal that like just really love us, and I love to get them involved in stuff like this. And I'm trying to like navigate my way into like, how could I be an independent filmmaker where it's like actually profitable, and it's tough, but some people are doing it. And like I'm thinking of these like ideas where like, if I make a feature film and I'm on tour with Mike, it's like, well, I could kind of piggyback that tour with like a screening of my film. You know what I mean? Where like the day of the Mike show, a few hours before the show, I could just like rent out a theater and say, hey, like if you guys want to, we have a concert later, but if you want to see my new feature film, come out to this and we'll do like a Q&A and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, you probably get a couple hundred people every city. That's like an unfair advantage that most filmmakers don't have. So it's like, I have all these ideas of like things I can do with that. But yeah, South by Southwest. I mean, it's crazy, dude. Like some independent films will get picked up and they'll get like these distribution deals for like a couple $100,000. And it's like, well, the movie costs a couple $100,000 to make.
Yeah.
So like a lot of these filmmakers are like psyched to like break even, you know, on like their first big film. And I'm like, this can't be it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Jim Cummings is like this great up and coming filmmaker. And like, he got this distribution deal from South by Southwest. He won like best film a couple of years ago and they offered him $200,000. And he's like, well, that was my budget, you know, like this can't be it.
Yeah.
So like, I'm still trying to navigate this whole filmmaking thing. All I know is like, I'm still getting my reps in. Like I by no means trying to become famous off my first, second movie. Cause that's not how it works. So I'm still getting my reps in, so one of the side projects I'm working on this new movie, which I'm really psyched about, probably going to film within the next year. I'm starting a new morning show on Spotify called the Morning Power Hour, which again, really awesome new innovative platform Spotify's doing through this company Anchor, where you can now integrate Spotify songs right into your podcast, right into your like audio shows. You don't need to get permission or anything, because when people listen to your show and these Spotify songs are integrated into your show, that streaming revenue goes right to the artist. So the artists are directly benefiting from you putting their music right into your show.
That's cool.
That's cool.
And it's Spotify exclusive, which, it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And I think Spotify is great anyways. They're taking more market share every year of the podcast world. So like, I'm cool with that. But it's awesome. Like I like having a show. I'm doing like a morning format where it's almost reviving like the morning radio show format, where like you kind of have like a talk morning show, comedy, like call-ins, and then you play music like the radio you hear in the radio. But now it's like this on-demand thing on Spotify where you could put whatever song, any song that's on the Spotify catalog, you could put right into your show. Anything you want.
That's cool.
And you don't need permission, nothing, because it's, those artists are directly benefiting from it. So say like I have a show, say my show gets big enough where I'm getting like hundreds of thousands of listeners, and I put someone's song that's like relatively unknown, like an up and coming artist, on the show, and hundreds of thousands of people listen to that. That artist is now getting hundreds of thousands of streams on that one song, and they're getting the streaming revenue for those couple 100,000 streams. So like if this show gets big enough, which I hope it will over the next couple of years, you can like literally break up and coming artists like the radio does, but you don't need permission. You don't need anything. You just take their song, you put it in your show, and that's it. There's no like hoops you got to jump through.
So how does the like DMCA work? I guess if you do put like, I don't know, let's just say Drake. Just say you put Drake's song in there.
Yeah.
Like, and you upload that to YouTube. How does the...
Oh, you can't upload it to YouTube.
You can't upload it to YouTube? No?
No. So that's why it's like, I'm only doing an audio show right now. It's audio only. And I eventually might go into video because, again, Spotify podcasts are now allowing you to upload video. Like, I mean, Joe Rogan's been doing it since he got signed to Spotify.
Yeah.
Where, like, you can watch the Joe Rogan podcast on Spotify, on the Spotify app.
Yeah.
And they just released this to the public now. So like on my show, it's audio now, but say I want to eventually switch to video, you can go to Spotify, listen to my show, and during the talking segments, there'll be a video and you can watch it. And then when it goes to a song, it'll just like, it'll flip it. It'll flip into like the song, like you normally would listen to a song on Spotify. It'll just go to the song. And then when that song's over, again, the video will pop up for the next segment of me talking.
That's dope.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's dope.
And like, this is a brand new format. It's called Music and Talk. And like, we were hit up by Spotify probably like 5 months ago when this was like a relatively new format. And like, they asked Mike to do something with it. And Mike was like, I don't know, we already have a podcast. There's nothing we can really do with it. And I just kind of like sat on it for a few months, and I'm like, I want to make like a music show, I think that'd be cool. Cause there's like, as far as, like music curation and stuff like that, like there's not a lot of places to like learn about new music other than like Spotify playlists. I mean, like, where do you guys look for new music?
I'll let you go first.
For me, it's just
like discover
friends,
discover new people.
Friends,
word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yeah. Either we have friends that make music, and then I listen to their music, and then they put me on like their other people that make music, because like that's how it was for like, I guess Mike, because I knew Mike when he was Mike Stud, because the only reason I knew him is because Stroman was on one of his songs.
Sweet.
And that's how I found that.
That's awesome.
And then it rekindled because he started listening to him, and I was like, oh, I know him.
So word of mouth, the buzz.
Yeah, the buzz.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, word of mouth, the buzz. I don't know if you like looked around like the Lyrical Lemonade stuff up there. I don't know if you know who Cole Bennett is.
Yeah.
But
so we're trying to get him to like help with our Chicago show.
Yeah.
He's based out of Chicago.
He's like one of my biggest inspirations, just mainly because he's like our age too, and he's like
killing it.
Killing it. So it's like through him, he'll like put an artist.
I love how he puts people on.
He like puts people on.
That's like my dream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I want to do with my show. You know, like I want to show where, and again, like we're just talking about how do you find out about music, and like kids like aren't listening to the radio anymore. You know what I mean? Like some people are maybe on their morning commutes and stuff like that, but like no one's listening to the fucking radio. And when you listen to the radio, like you're not really learning about the artists. You know, they just put the song on and it's a fucking bullshit top 40 song and like whatever.
They're already big.
Yeah, they're already big. Like why do they need more? You know what I mean? It's a whole racket. The radio, like if you knew what goes on in the music industry with the radio, it's a fucking racket. Where this is just such a pure way to like, I can sift through all the music in the world. You don't have to reset that, or you good?
You can finish your thoughts.
Okay. Yeah. So I sift through all this music, and like I actually like go out of my way to find artists that I think are really talented that don't have a huge following yet, and I put on like 5 or 6 songs every episode, and I actually I take the time to either like interview the artist one-on-one, or I just I look into them and like I talk about them a little bit before I play their song and tell them why I like the song, and every episode I'm only featuring 5 or 6 artists, you know, and some of them are friends, obviously, that people I know, but some of them are people I've never met before that I'm like, this guy's dope. I think you should know about him because he's really great. And it's just like a cool way to curate music and put on artists that you really fuck with. And there's not really like a platform for that anymore. When I was coming up, there was like music blogs, like goodmusicallday.com and like stuff like that, where you could do that. And it was a blog, but like, that's not a thing anymore. And these editorial playlists on Spotify, like it's a whole racket with the music industry, like where so many slots go towards, you know, certain record labels. Like they buy like certain slots on these big playlists on Spotify. So if you're independent, you're fucked. You can't get on it. Like
that's crazy.
There's only so many, and they don't tell you that, but that's how it works.
That's
there's
crazy.
So many, so like if you're an unsigned independent artist, which most artists are, like it's really hard to get discovered. It's really hard. Other than word of mouth, you know what I mean? So like if I can create a show where I can like actually shine light on these talented people, like that's what I want to do.
The concept that Spotify's doing, that's actually dope, because it's like a lot of people have a routine in the morning. Mm-hmm. And if that routine gets thrown off, you kind of like your day's not necessarily thrown off. You're like, what the hell? But like, it's cool because you don't have to listen to a podcast in the morning. Like if you normally listen to podcasts, I mean, I don't want to listen to podcasts today. Like I'm listening to music, but with this one, you get like the best of both worlds, because and it gives you kind of like the nostalgia of an old like radio show.
Like
exactly.
Like the dope that is a dope idea, and it's in my opinion the perfect time, because a lot of old cool stuff is coming back in style. Right. I think that's going to be like a wave that catches on.
I hope so, man. I mean, I love Howard Stern. I've always been a Howard Stern guy, and like his movie Private Parts, if you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's a movie about it's like a biopic of his life, but he plays himself in it. It's so fucking awesome. And you see his come up in radio and how he was always going against the grain, because I mean, he's just like a fucking wacko and a sicko like I am, and like always like going against censorship and going against, you know, mainstream media and stuff like that, and wanting to do his own thing and have freedom of speech. With Spotify, it's like within reason, you can say whatever the fuck you want, you know. I know Rogan, like they're like, you know, false information. But like, you know, I can go on my morning show and like, you know, talk about, you know, this time I couldn't get a boner, or like talk about the time I shit my pants, or like whatever. I can talk about whatever I want, you know what I mean? And just being able to like have like this mainstream format of like a morning show, which usually is so buttoned up and corny, and you just flip it on its side and make it R-rated and like say whatever the fuck you want. It's genius. Like it's a dream come true for me. And the fact that you can only listen on Spotify is like, it's kind of a downfall, but you know, I think a lot of people have Spotify these days, and like I said, like their market share is only growing in the podcast space. So it'd probably take me a few years to really get it off the ground, but I just kind of like love what it represents, and I just have fun making it.
I don't think it will. I think it's going to come a lot faster than you
think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a dope,
just like me.
Yeah,
I come a lot faster than I think I will.
Hey, it happens to the best of us, you know. So sometimes you just can't help it, all right?
Yeah.
But it's dope too because like, I remember when I was younger, when like you did listen to radio in the morning, like they're in Nashville now, but like the Bobby Bones show.
Yeah, yeah. They were just talking about Mike recently on his show. Like they like announced like who like each host talked about who they want to have on the show as a guest, and like one of them really fucks with Mike.
That's dope.
And then some of the other ones like shit on Mike. It's weird.
What?
Yeah, dude. Like some of them like make fun of him, and some of them like love him. It's very split on the Bobby Bones show, but they're based out of Nashville, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
So they used to be based out of Austin.
Austin, yeah.
Then they got a contract with iHeartRadio.
Gotcha.
That's when they moved to Nashville.
I can't wait till like an iHeart reaches out to me and they're like, "Dude, let me pick up your show." And I'm like, "No,
no,"
because then I can't say fuck, shit, cunt, cock. I can't say anything. You know what I mean?
But I remember when I was in the car with my mom, like going to school, like I was like, "Dude, I wish I could just like see what they were doing." Because like I've always like wanted to do that, like watch it as well, but listen to it, and I think that would be cool too because they're gonna implement the video part of
eventually,
it. Where you can watch like you, because we all do antics when we're talking and stuff, or like different expressions and like
kind of like the Breakfast Club in a way.
Yeah, like sometimes they're funny.
Even like Howard Stern, like dude, Howard Stern's show now in Sirius. Like I don't subscribe to Sirius, but I just follow them on Instagram and see the clips and stuff like that. And like, dude, his show's sick.
Yeah.
Like his set is dope. And he just like sits in his booth and he has a fucking awesome guest every time. He just sits on the couch across from him. And then they have like a live music set up where like if they have music guests, they can just come in and like perform live. Like that's my fucking dream job. You know, that'd be amazing. Just have like someone dope sit across the couch from me and I can just like pop in, talk about whatever I want. Howard Stern, like completely uncensored. He can talk about whatever he wants. That's the dream for me. Like that would be best case scenario.
Yeah, that's dope. Cause that's essentially like what we're trying to do is like have like a dope guest on every single time. Someone cool. Come on and sit across from us and talk to them. Yeah. So
man.
That's dope. So same passion.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. And that's dope. You guys have been doing it for 2 years, man.
Yeah.
Congrats on that. Seriously.
Thank you.
It's been rough.
Everyone and their cousin the past couple of years have started a podcast.
And they don't ever.
Everyone. Like everyone started a podcast.
It's crazy too because it's like I talk about it all the time, but I wanted to do a podcast way before podcasts were even cool because I wanted to do it in high school.
I made one in 2015. I had a podcast with one of my best friends in 2015.
That's when we graduated.
Yeah, 2014, 2015. And dude, no one was podcasting in 2014, 2015. And I did like, me and my buddy did like 50 or 60 episodes of a show. So we did it for like a year or two. You know, and like no one was podcasting back then. I kind of wish we stuck with it because if we were like 5-6 years in right now, it would have been like 7 years by now. We would have probably had a huge podcast. But
I don't know if you would have took it, but you probably got signed to like a Spotify or Barstool or Apple, something like that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I was in high school. It was my senior year, and I was like, man, I want to do like a podcast.
Yeah,
and then
it's great.
He went to go play football. And then I started college and I was just in class and I was like, because I was going to school for communications and I was going to go do sports communications because I wanted to work for like ESPN or something and talk. And then I was like, dude, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to be in school. I do not want to be sitting here right now.
Yeah. So
I stopped. And then the whole time because he went to school in Colorado and I was here and we wanted to do the podcast, but we knew that we didn't want it to just be bad or do it over the internet and stuff like that. So that was a whole another 4 years we had to wait to do it. And then that's kind of when people were like, oh, I want to do a podcast. I want to do a podcast. I want to do a podcast. So that kind of sucked.
And it's like trendy, you know, like people like are like, oh, y'all do a podcast. But every time I tell someone I do a podcast and then they go through our Instagram and like see that we've been doing it for a while and how professional we take it seriously. Like, oh, it's not, y'all are different.
Exactly. Like that, the point I was trying to make was that you've been doing it for 2 years, which is, I mean, speaking from experience, I've done the YNK for about 2.5 years and it's like, it's a lot, man. It's
not
lot.
easy.
Yeah.
And we switched to doing it every other week. And like, granted, we do the Only Steve's episodes. So like, we're technically doing one every week, but dude, it's fucking grind, man. It's a fucking grind. And like, it's getting those reps in and like staying consistent like that. It's hard. And like that's why I love Rogan so much. It's like I've been doing it for fucking 10 years. And like the first 7 or 8 years, no one really fucking cared, you know?
Yeah.
But just getting the reps in and sticking with it and like getting into like the hundreds and then the thousands of episodes, it's like, man, that's inspiring shit. You know, so kudos to you guys, man. Stick with it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Seriously, stick with it.
It hasn't. Yeah, I'm sure you know from experience, but it has not been easy by any means.
Yeah. Dude, my new show, I'm on episode 5, and I'm like already having self-doubt. I'm like, man, this is fucking hard.
Yeah, that's tough.
You know, episode 5, I'm like, fuck, man.
Because we always haven't had a space to record. We always haven't been on the same playing field all at once. So it's like there's always been like rough patches we have to get through, and then I always say like anybody else they would have stopped.
Yeah,
but we just kept it. We just kept
now
chugging along.
Like, we're in too deep. Like I was telling you earlier, I just definitely want to make it full time. Like look up to you guys and just other people. I'm like, I see what they do. I'm like, we can do it too. You know. So it's I guess transitioning to that. Would there be any advice you'd give us? Like.
Yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, it's the consistency thing. It's like, dude, I know I keep talking about Atomic Habits, the book. I just finished it yesterday. I just finished the book. And he just gives so many awesome examples, you know, of like people who just like put their reps in. And the end of the book is interesting because he talks about how he was talking to like a strength and conditioning coach who like trains a lot of professional athletes and stuff like that. And he asked him, he's like, what trait does like most of these professional people have to like make them successful? And the answer that guy gave, he was like, it's the people who could withstand being bored the most. Because when you get into like these habits of, say you're like going to the gym and you have to get like 5 or 6 workouts in a week to become like a bodybuilder. You do the same fucking exercises, the same routines, the same fucking thing every day. Probably gets boring after a while.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
It's like the people that really succeed are the ones who like take it years and years and years, and like it probably gets boring after a while, but they just do it anyways because they know it needs to get done.
Yeah.
You know? And like there's something to be said about that with podcasting. It's like you might hit a plateau where it's like your show doesn't get bigger or smaller for like 3 years. And like during those 3 years, you're probably like, why the fuck am I doing this? There's self-doubt, there's boredom, there's like, you know, I'm not seeing anything that's like wanting me to take this to the next level or like to continue going. It gets boring. But the people who like can withstand that boredom and just keep going, those are the people that become the most successful. It's not a matter of talent. It's not a matter of like if you have like the skill to do it or not. Because if you keep doing it, you're going to get that skill. You're going to get that talent. Maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years, maybe 7 years, maybe a decade. Yeah. You know? But it's about who can withstand that boredom of that time where you hit that plateau and you're just like, and there's going to be many plateaus, trust me. You know, some may be a month, some might be a couple of years. Yeah. And like, dude, the YK podcast, like, you know, like it's big, but like, you know, we hit our own plateaus where it's like, you know, we don't have a huge guests on for like 6 months. And it's like, well, fuck, it's just me and Mike kind of like, you know, sticking our thumbs up our ass and talking for a couple months. And we have no big guests. And like, yeah, we're not getting new traction and we're not getting new eyes. And, you know, it can be tough, you know, it's like, why are we still doing this thing? Yeah. But then we get like, you know, like big guests, like we have like Larry King on and we have like Travis Kelce on and like, then we get that new boost, you know, and it's like, then it's like, oh fuck yeah, we get something going again, you know, like we got new eyes, we got new people fucking with it. So it's like, it's really just who can withstand that boredom.
Yeah. That's how it is with us. Cause I mean, we do the sports podcast and like, we both love sports. We love talking about them, but it doesn't move us like having you on, having like a guest on, someone new. Yeah. And then it just like we shot yesterday and it's just like, looking forward to this one, and then we have another podcast we're shooting on Saturday. So like getting those guests on, it's like that's like what gets me and Carlos like amped up
it's
to
great.
shoot.
It's great, and like dude, and it's about the consistency, man. Yeah. It's like if there's a week you don't feel like doing it because you had nothing planned and like there's nothing going on, like just get up there and do it for like even if it sucks, like do it, just do it. Even if it's like 10 minutes long, just do it. You know, like James Clear in that book, he talks about like how if you want to create a habit like running, for example, every day, like start with just like putting your shoes on in the morning, putting your running shoes on in the morning and run for like 1 minute, you know, just a minute. Like it's not going to do anything. Yeah. But the habit of like putting your shoes on in the morning, getting out the door, actually starting the run, that's by like, just like being like having that as part of your habit. Like that's a win. That's a win. So like if there's a week you don't want to do the podcast, you guys are busy or like you got other shit going on or like you don't feel like doing it, sit down and just do a fucking 3-minute episode, put it out. You know, you continued you continued the string of the habit. You didn't break the chain, you know? So that's the only advice I can give for podcasting. Cause it's like, it's just tedious, man. And I know from experience, it's tedious and it's grueling and it's exhausting.
You'll put out something. You'll be like, this is gonna be a banger. Doesn't do well. Like all that stuff.
Dude, we did an interview with Larry King, who like is the biggest. I mean, he's the biggest person we've ever had as a guest, and we were the last interview probably we did. He was the last interview before he died. Like before he died, we were the last people to interview him. Probably, I'm pretty sure. And like it got, it got like it didn't get huge numbers. Like not a lot of people listened to it.
That's crazy.
Not that I give a fuck. Like I have detached so much from like the outcome that I don't really care. But like you'd expect that to like bring us to the next level.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like a mediocre episode for us, and I'm like, fuck, man. So like, dude, it's just grueling, man. But like, again, if you love the process and you have fun doing it, and it's like if you really see yourself down the line like doing this professionally and doing it full time, like you can actually envision that, then you just got to keep doing it.
Yeah, because I think here shortly we're gonna start taking it a different way. We're still gonna do the podcast, but we're gonna start implementing other videos that's gonna get more exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll just have it all under one envelope. Like you'll still be able to get the podcast, but we'll do other stuff too. It'll be more of like a media.
Yeah, dude. I mean, dude, the show I'm doing now, like it's all audio. Do you know how hard it is to promote an audio only show?
Yeah.
It's fucking really hard. Like you talk about TikTok, like can like really help market stuff. Like how do you market an audio only show? Like what the fuck am I gonna do? Yeah. So that's why like I can't wait to set up a studio and like get videos going so I can actually market this fucking thing because it's tough, man. It's tough.
Okay. Could you like make a video talking about it beforehand?
Oh, I'm like, dude, I'm figuring out how to do it. It's just hard. It's hard. And like, it's hard to make engaging content on social media that's like not visual.
Yeah.
It's tough. True. It's definitely tough. Yeah.
One last thing for me. Who do you take like inspiration from, like doing what you do? Oh, I guess 2 questions. That's the first one. The second one is, it doesn't even have to be music. What are some of your ideal artists you would want to work with?
Yeah, I mean, creatively, I don't think there's a whole lot of people I look up to. I mean, my role models are my dad and Dwayne Johnson. That's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. My dad's just like a legend. He's done so many great things in his life, and he kind of overcame so many odds. And he didn't come from much, and he fought in the fucking Vietnam War. He's old. He's fought in the Vietnam War. He saw fucking warfare, and he like came out of that as like a even keeled person, and like went on to do great things in business and like supported a family and all that. So like I really look up to him. And then I've always been a fan of The Rock. Like people make fun of it, but like since I was 10 years old, I've been a fan of The Rock, and like just to see what he's done from a business standpoint and as like an icon and as a motivational person. I've always looked up to him as well. So like from a motivational standpoint, my dad, Dwayne Johnson, those 2 guys, love it. Creatively, like, of course, like in film and music, there's people creatively I look up to, like, I mean, it's so hard to think of them off the top of my head, but like the stereotypical, like I love Tarantino and like, in the film world, I love all that shit. And then I love Todd Phillips, who did like the Hangover movies. He did Road Trip. He did Old School. Like
good movies.
I love all those fucking party movies. And he did The Joker, which is like, I always say this, like if you can master comedy, you can do any genre. Todd Phillips was like known for doing those party comedies, like he did the fucking Hangover trilogy and Old School. Like his movies were about fucking dudes partying. And then he did The Joker.
The past one?
Yeah.
Dude, that movie's so good.
He did which grossed like $1 billion. So like,
so good. That's crazy. That's like a 360.
You see a lot of people who started with comedy go on to do like incredible dramas and win these awards. Another one is like one of the Farrelly brothers. They did like Dumb and Dumber and a bunch of other comedies. One of them like went on to, I think he either wrote or directed Green Book, which won best like original screenplay or something. Like they go on to do like these crazy dramas and just crush it. So anyways, like I love that. I love comedic people who like comedic writers and directors who go on to do serious stuff. Like that's like a dream come true. Like if I could do that, that'd be awesome. From a music world, the production world, that's tough. When I was younger, like I always looked up to like people like Pharrell and Timbaland and like, who else? I'm sure there's a couple other people, but yeah, mainly it's like the motivational people that I really look up to. People who overcome odds, people who work hard, people who motivate people and like brighten people's day. Like that's the type of people I like. Yeah, and then artists I want to work with. Sheesh, I don't know. With music, it's tough because I'm an old soul. I like Motley Crue, dude. Like if I could party with Motley Crue and like make music with them, that'd be sick. But I don't know. I don't know what the odds are for that.
Do you have like a a genre that you like specify the best in, like rap or like
that I
lo-fi?
like the most.
Yeah, like you like working the most with.
Yeah, dude, I'm an old soul, so like if I'm putting on my Spotify, there's either a playlist where I'm like want to get fucking amped up and I'm listening to like 80s rock, like your fucking Motley Crue, Def Leppard, that type of shit, which like makes no sense because I didn't live in that time.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
But I just like it. I like the pageantry of it all. I like rock stars. I think they're awesome. And then, or the other side is like the music I liked when I was in high school, which is like the early 2000s pop punk stuff, like Blink-182, Sum 41, Third Eye Blind, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Current music, like, yeah, I like it from a creative standpoint, but like it's not really my go-to.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to pick like who I'd want to work with, you know, because it's like, you know, I'm an old soul.
No, I got you.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that'll do it, I guess, on my end and your end. We're gonna link all his social medias, so you guys can go shout him out.
Yeah, follow me. I need followers, man.
Shout out to the boy Mike and the crew back in LT, Stevenson Ranch, the hat, all the deal. We're gonna be out there too. I'm gonna at least be out there May 7th for the concert.
Sweet.
I'll be out there.
Yeah, man. If you need tickets or anyone on the guest list, let me know.
Yeah.
That's gonna be our last show on the first leg of our tour, so it's gonna be a great show.
Yeah.
We're expecting like 2,500 people, so it's gonna be a big show, and it's gonna be awesome.
Definitely be down to check it out, kick it, and all that stuff. It'll be cool. So sweet. Thank you again for pulling up on us.
Thanks for having me, man.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll do it again from another episode of Opinionated Off-Topic. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Opinionated Podcast, that's what it's called?
Yeah, Opinionated
Podcast. So that's what our Instagram is called, but we're about to change it all in the future and stuff.
So what's the official name of the podcast?
The official name of the podcast is Opinionated Podcast.
Opinionated Podcast.
Yes, but this like segment of the podcast is Off-Topic, which is the guest, all that stuff.
Nice.
Yeah,
So we have like two different ones. So the way it originally started was going to be a sports podcast.
Yep.
And then I also wanted to have on guests as well.
Right.
So I thought of the name Opinionated Podcast. And then when the guests come on, since it's not going to be about sports, it's going to be Opinionated Off-Topic.
Opinionated Off-Topic.
Yeah, and that will be with the guest.
All right.
So this one is called Opinionated Off-Topic.
Opinionated Off-Topic fucks.
yes, sir.
Watch it every week or however often it airs.
Every week,
Yeah,
every Friday.
every
Y'all
Every
know the
Friday,
deal.
Opinionated Off-Topic fucks. I'm Jon Kilmer, and we're out of here.